Hi guys, it's Spades109 here. I'm not very done up, as you can tell. And this video isn't gonna be like a super duper exciting video, I guess. It's more of a talking video, and if that's not your style, I completely get that. I'm just gonna be doing my makeup while we talk, while I talk, I guess, and yeah. I don't know what the title I'm gonna come up with for this is, but basically, if you've been watching my videos for a while, or if you just happen to have gone back and see some of my old videos, a while ago I made a video about losing a friend, and I haven't attempted to watch that video. I watched like the beginning of it recently, like a few weeks ago, and I didn't I couldn't sit through it. So I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't remember what I said all in that. So if I repeat anything, I'm sorry. But basically, when I was a junior in high school in November, the day before Thanksgiving, one of my friends, she killed herself and she passed away. And it's been a decent amount of time since then. What? That would have happened in 2015, I want to say. So it's what, about to be 8 years, I think, since that's happened. My math might be wrong, but I think I'm correct here. And so I just wanted to talk about this. I don't know if this is going to help anybody. I hope it does. I don't know if anybody of my friends or people who know me in person, if this is going to be helpful for them, given that I know a lot of people who experienced the same thing I did. This happened at a high school. So my experience is my own, but I know that everyone has a shared experience of what happened, just their view on it and how they feel about it is going to be different. Or maybe it's very similar. I'm filming this on day 2 of Dia de los Muertos. So it's November 2nd. I've got my ofrenda up, and I started celebrating Day of the Dead because of wanting to feel closer to Lizzie. And that's one of the main reasons I do it, because I didn't grow up celebrating Day of the Dead. Long, complicated story. All of my traditions in my family. I have two parents who grew up at a time where their traditions and their values and their languages were forcibly removed from their lives through education, the education system. I am Native and I am Latina. I am Karuk Native. It's a Native tribe in California. We're like at the very top of California, and like we barely, I think, went into Oregon, barely. And then I'm also Mexican. So there you go. And specifically, if like Mexican mix with the native people of Mexico before they were colonized. That's generally what my is. And then of course there's white in there, because of course there is. Both of my affiliations of that is kind of, they gotta be in there, you know. It happens. But anyways, so I didn't really grow up celebrating Day of the Dead. It wasn't a thing that was in my life. But it was always something that I thought was really fascinating. It was something I thought was really cool. And I don't mean in a trendy way. I don't mean like, I don't know, the way that they celebrated death was something that I thought was really interesting, and I liked the messaging behind it of not, like, of course it's okay to mourn, but that belief of being able to see those people again. I'm sorry if this gets emotional. I'm trying my best to just talk about this. Like, anytime it comes to this situation with Lizzie and everything, it's always kind of a 50-50, like, how I get about it. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it, because it's been 8 years. I was 16 when, well, almost 8, but I was 16 when all this stuff happened. And realistically, I only knew Lizzie for about 3 years, 2.5, really. And I wasn't even like one of her best friends. I just knew her. I met her realistically at the end of my freshman year, when I took over a role for somebody, and so now I was doing a rap with her and I was just dancing as she rapped. And so all my memories are from like rehearsing with her in there, and then after that we just it was a friendship at that point, and we ended up being roommates in Ashland, and there's a whole vlog about it. Although she's in, little parts of it, and it's annoying, and I'm a little kid, and I don't like that video, and I think it's kind of stupid now to look back on it. Like, I get it. It's just kids being kids, right? It's just teenagers being teenagers. I don't like looking back on it, but there's a huge part of me that doesn't ever want to delete it, because she's in it, and you can only have so many memories to look back on once someone's gone. And that was like a key part of our friendship, and one of the times we bonded and we talked so much was during that trip, was when we got to hang out with each other. And the reason I wanted to talk about this in the first place was because it's been almost 8 years, and I'm still discovering ways that this grief has affected me and continues to affect me. And I'm sure people know this, especially people who are going through this, but all that is completely okay. And that's something that I feel like I dealt with probably like after 2 or 3 years of her being gone, was that I felt like I should be over it, because everyone stops being as affected by it every day, and so, and nobody wants to talk about it because it's hard to talk about. And everyone deals with grief differently. Some people, all they want to do is talk about it, and some other people, it's the last thing that they want to do is talk about it. They want to just bottle it up, and they don't want to talk about it at all. And so everyone deals with it differently. It becomes like a taboo to talk about, almost, because it's, it's a weight, it's heavy, it's, and so, after 2 or 3 years of dealing with her death, it felt like it wasn't really okay to talk about, unless, it was the anniversary of her death, which I still celebrate is a weird word to use, but like every year on the anniversary of her death, I go to the bay, and I have this candle that I got specifically for her, and when I burn it on the anniversary of her death, I go to the bay and I go and burn it, and I sit there and I listen to, and it sounds, I know it's not. It sounds so stupid, though. It feels so stupid coming out of my mouth, and I hate that that's how it feels for me. Because I feel like when I talk to other people about this, it feels so dumb. And it must sound so dumb. But I play Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas, except it's the cover of the song that they did in the 200th episode of Supernatural. But so I sit there with my candle and I burn it to that song because it makes me feel so much closer to her. And it was a show that we connected with so vividly. I adjusted my camera. I'm sorry about that cut. But I remember talking to her when that episode came out. And I remember how much we talked about it, and we talked about every little thing. And it was like such a big thing. And I'm sorry. I'm trying to. But one of the reasons I'm talking about this and talking about this grief is that I was going back on my Facebook Messenger. I was trying to find an old conversation with somebody else. And I scrolled back far enough down, just people I had ever contacted, and I saw her name. And I don't know if I had blocked it out on purpose, because I probably did, but I saw her name and I wanted to read it, because I was like, what? The last thing we had talked about was planning to like watch Supernatural together and like have a little marathon where we just hole up and we just watch the show. How much did I actually talk to her? And I just kept scrolling all the way to the top to find the beginning of our messages. And like, when I was doing that, I hadn't realized how much I actually had talked to her. And how many conversations we actually had. Because when I was a junior, I knew her like closest friends were. I knew who those people were. I knew so many people who had so many more memories with her. And I don't know if I did it actively, but I know now that I did convince myself that like I shouldn't be as hurt as I was because I didn't know her that well. And when I went through our conversations, I realized that even though we didn't hang out in person that much, that we talked a lot. And I think it was because I saw myself, because I was younger than her, that because I didn't hang out with her in person as much as her other friends, that I wasn't, that impactful to her. And that my relationship with her was relatively small in compared to everything. Because like, I think I probably said this in my first video about talking about this, but like, when I was a junior, she sat next to me in yearbook, and she sat in between me and my friend Austin, and I talked to her every day, like every day, and we texted so much. And I had the realization like a few weeks ago maybe like a month ago when I was looking through these, and it was like fucking 2 a.m. because of course it was. And I remember I just started sobbing. And that was the moment I realized how much of a relationship that I did have with her, and how much I convinced myself that I was so small and that I shouldn't be feeling this way because we didn't actually have that much of a relationship. I'm like going into November, because November is always rough. Like, I've never really liked Thanksgiving. And then I'm 16, and that happens the day before, and it's like, it's like Thanksgiving's never fun. I can try as hard as I can, but it's never fun. It's just a reminder of everything. And it's like, yes, I'm grateful for the family and friends I do have in my life, but it's also just, it's also what it is. I wanted to do this and talk about this because I know that this is still a reaction that I'm capable of having, and that like comes out from me when talking about all of this. And I know how I used to feel, and I know how part of me still feels, and still feels guilty that I feel this way, and that complaining that I still feel this way and that I still feel this pain, because it's like I still think there are people who knew her better than me. There are people who spent more time with her than me. It's like her parents loved her so much. I know how much they loved her. I know how much they love her. And so part of me feels so guilty to feel this way, because it's like I can't, it's like my pain can't be comparable to theirs. So who am I to still be like this, to still get like this, and to still talk about it when there are so many more people hurting more than me. It's like I don't need to feel this guilty over it. I don't need to feel bad that I still miss her and that I still feel sad about her. And I feel stupid still to want to post about her, to want to talk about her. But it's like I'm not over it. It's like I feel so stupid because I was 16. Why is something that happened when, I was 16, why is it still affecting me this much? And I just feel so stupid about it sometimes. I know in my heart that it's okay to feel this way, and that everyone deals with death differently, and that there's nothing wrong with feeling this way. There's nothing wrong with celebrating her the way that I do. Because it's all for her. I still miss her. I still love her. And I don't know if talking about any of this was helpful. I know a lot of it was just me talking and crying. It's like, I don't know. I feel like every year I'm discovering something new about how I feel. And like the afterwards of how the school handled it at the time was so messy. It was really
another thing that was really weird, and this is talking more into our education system, and I'm not trying to trash my school. I'm not trying to trash the teachers or the counselors or even the principal, even if I have mixed feelings about her. And I definitely hated our superintendent. But besides that, like, there were a lot of issues. But when I was in school, we didn't really have counselors, like psychologists, to talk to about our feelings. Our counselors were in charge of our schedules and making sure that, like, we were on the path to graduation, and that was about it. They weren't there for us to talk to if we had problems. And so when everything happened, it was, we had like this group meeting on like the weekend in my teacher's classroom, and we all just sat in a circle and we shared stories, and the counselors were there to listen in and like hear everything. But the thing is, after that mainly happened, I don't know about any of my friends. I only know about a few, and the few that I can say that I've asked about this and that I can say anything is that they didn't experience anybody, like, at least like after a week after it happened, nobody really checking in on any of the students that were affected, because like they all saw us, like our counselors saw us, we were all in the classroom, because not saying that the people who weren't in that meeting didn't matter, because they do, but like they had names and faces to look at. For students that were there and knew about it, meant that they were close enough that they were invited because another person told them about it, or because they were told about it directly. Like, they were close enough that they had that information, and they didn't, and we didn't get talked to about it. In terms of how the school handled it, we didn't get any checkups from the school about how we were doing, and we were pretty much encouraged to not talk about it at all. And like, I know the school was worried about like copycat situations happening, because they didn't want to see this person getting all this attention for doing that, and then it happens to more students. They didn't want that to happen. But we were kind of just encouraged to not talk about it and just kind of deal with it. And everyone dealt with it differently. And it was a giant hot mess. And it was pretty miserable. I like went in to deliver a gift to some of my old teachers. And I remember walking in, and there were security cameras. And there weren't security cameras when I went to school. There weren't. They had hallway monitors in the main office where they could see everything, and I was like, wow. And part of it obviously is going to do with school shootings and that violence. I'm sure a big part of it is that, but it was just crazy to walk in and see that security. Because, like, we always had, like, a peace officer that was, like, on campus pretty much the whole time, or at least their car was. I don't know about them. But there was always, like, we always had that amount of security, but otherwise it was a pretty open campus. Like, anyone could walk in and out. And, like, I wanted to give my teacher, like, go up to the classroom and give it to her, and they're like, oh, well, you need, like, a signed permission slip from that teacher that you can do that. And I was like, okay. Like, little things were just different, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But like, they have an actual like counselor for the kids to like talk to about, and like have appointments with and talk about their issues. And I remember hearing that, and it made me so happy for those kids. And it really also broke my heart, because it's like, I'm so glad that they had that, but we didn't. We didn't have that. We were told to not talk about it because we didn't want to make a scene. We didn't want to make the school look bad. We didn't want to do all these things that would draw attention to the situation. But as a 16-year-old with over like 30 people in their inner circle, like more people I talked to, right? And people in the theater like group and people connected to that. It was like a shared experience that how do we not talk about this? Someone who was hanging out with us literally 3 days ago, like a week ago, they're gone. How do we not talk about this? Only a few of us really knew what happened when she died. I was not one of those original people. I found out afterwards what actually happened. And so I remember going to school the week after break, and people were talking about it in my first period. And I remember people saying, "Oh, I heard that she killed herself." And I was like, "There's no way." And I remember defending it, and remember getting angry at that person and telling them it wasn't true. But like, I had no idea that it was gonna happen. It wasn't something that I would have guessed. It's like you're in denial about it happening until it happens to you, right? And so I was like, there's no way that she did that. And people were talking about the different ways that she did it, and it was just so excruciating to hear people talking about her and saying all these things about her and saying negative things about her, about what she must have been like, about how terrible of a person she was, or like making guessing games out of how she did it. I don't know how much of this video I'm gonna cut out. I've like recorded over like 40 minutes of this, and I don't want to post like a 30-minute long video on YouTube. Like, I wish everyone the best. I want everyone to be okay. And I want our school system to do better. So I'm sorry that this video is probably too long. I'm gonna have to cut it down a lot. I'm sorry that this isn't like the normal content I post. I'm sorry, it's just kind of me crying and trying to hold it together while trying to like say a message, and it doesn't feel very eloquent at all. And I feel like I was prepared to make this really eloquent video, and it just didn't happen. I don't know how much I'll be posting in November. December will probably be better. Thanksgiving isn't really, a big time for me, so I don't know what that's gonna be like. But I wish everyone the best. I really hope that you're doing okay. I really, really hope that you're doing okay. I need to go. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.